My full name is David Allen Brown, and I was born in Beech Forest on the 26th of the 8th, 27. There was 400 at Wyelangta where I lived, where Grandad or Dad lived. Mainly timber people then. Grandad come from a timber family, and he bought 40 splitters who split puncheons and palings for barrels and fences, that type of thing, you'd know. And he formed a little small settlement near Wyelangta in 1911. And they set up camp in Browntown, he called it. And I knew it as a lad. He was still there operating that when I was a lad, and I was born, as I say, in 27. They put their mills fairly close to the patch of timber, well, call it a patch of timber, and when as they cleared, they took the nearer logs, they just winched them into the mill by winches, which are generally inbuilt in the mill itself, pulling logs in, and you're just switching gear to turn the winch whichever way you want to pull it. Well, when they finished all the local stuff, they would bring it in by horses or bullocks and pull it into a loading ramp, or a ramp, or yes, I call it a landing, and then from there on, those would all come in by bullocks or horses, but once it got to the actual landing, it was handled by the mill people, the mill with all their winches, you see. But to see them falling it was an art of its own to pick the right timber, then cut it into the length that they wanted it, and then they'd snig it in. I call it a snig with the horses. He'd build the tramway when he needed it. If, say, he was 4 mile down into the bush in some cases. Well, he built his own tramway, I'll call it, tramway from the station to the mill. And then from he'd bring all his cut timber up then on that. That area down Johanna, Gordon Vale and Wyelangta, and they could have been farming earlier than Wyelangta in farming, and because there was farmers come in from Portland, Warrnambool area to Laboursill, and the railway line went through in 1906. Yeah. Well, each area had its own siding. There was Beech Forest here, Buchanan just up the road, Ferguson, Werperina, pile siding, Kincaid, Wyelangta, Pettit siding, Stalker, Laboursill, Crows. They all had their sidings and all had little side tracks to load. Farmers could load their produce, and it'd sit there till the train come next time on the sideline. During the Depression, Dad and his father and 2 brothers bought a property which they were milling. There was timber on there. He had the timber rights on it. He cut the timber off it. They bought the property, and one son or 2 sons decided to farm it, as well as help in the mill. In 1927, Dad and his brothers bought a 1927 Rugby.
Their car.
That was their first car. I can remember that. They bought it in 1927. That was the year I was born, but they owned it there in the Wyelangta district for quite a while. And then they bought a Bedford truck, which come in very handy for going to social events. Well, he did lots of travel like that, but then he bought a 1933 Ford Coupe, single, you know, with the dicky seat in the back. I got into school, high school then. I was about 12, I think, when he bought that. And we'd go everywhere in that. I remember going to Apollo Bay to our seaside resorts of Port Campbell, getting very sick in the back seat. Dreadful bloody car it was. But the roads are shocking, all vibrations, corrugations, miles and miles of it. From what I can gather, from what I can remember, we were all taken to the Duke of Gloucester hut in Turton's track, halfway, just over halfway through the track towards the forest, Apollo Bay, Colac Road. And we all sat there and waited for the Duke of Gloucester to come. But they just said, no, he's taken ill, or something to that effect. And we'd just come home. We were only kids. Well, I was, 1934, I'd be 7. Because I've got three boys with the same age. They're all in this year. We're still alive. We still get together and we have a good old laugh about how we used to play cricket and how we used to play football. And didn't have cricket bats and didn't have balls and things like that, but we made our own. And see, the likes of Johanna, they had their own football team, but there's 5 or 6 Evanses, and there's 3 or 4 Spates, and there's Harringtons. And, big families. There's 2 families in Lavers Hill, that's 17, didn't they? So there's a lot of kids about. Wyelangta area was sealed when I was 10, but it was always a dirt road or a gravel road while I was younger than 10. I remember them sealing in front of the Wyelangta, through the Wyelangta township. There was only 1 or 2 cars then. Yeah. That's a story I can tell you. We were playing in the water behind the shop, 3 of us, 4 of us, playing in pools of water behind the tanks there. And a car come onto the new seal. I could see him coming up the road. And I said to my friends, my boy mates, I bet I can race him across the road. So I took off from them across to Grandad's. Grandad's house was over there then. Geez, I got across the road, but he followed me and he ran over the top of me. Luckily the car that high, you know. But those things, Mum saw it all. She was cleaning the windows out of it. The original road, it was only clay. We used to use that for a cricket pitch and kick the footy on that. At Wyelangta, when I was a boy, Wyelangta had about 400 people there, and a train every day, which was a big thing, you know. With Mum, we used to milk our 8 cows. When the uncle went on the dairy in 1939, when the war came, they had milking machines, walk-through style, if you know what they are. In 39, he had 5 sons, and 2 of them were farmers. One went to the war, the other 3 younger boys went to the war, and my uncle who was on the farm stayed, and he and Dad took it over as a shared business. All in the meantime, of course, Grandad and Dad, they run the Wyelangta shop and post office and billiard room, petrol pump and things like that. Well, the first morning, Mum and I had to shift some cattle. She had a few 8 or 9 cattle on her own. We used to milk them as kids. And we got to go and get the cows in. She knew she could see the fire starting in Carlisle, which is down off the bank, down off the Otways from where we lived. And she said, come with me, and I went with her, and we got the cows in, and then the fire's nearly up to Wyelangta by that time. Grandad, who had been burnt out twice, in 21 and 1919, he knew exactly what to do, and because we had the farm, they had a truck. He put us all on the truck around our little township and took us up to the farm. And I remember getting on the truck and going up there and spending the day hoping the school would burn down. But it didn't. Well, the school was only 300 yards from my house, or our house, and it was, when I went, there was about 15 kids there, I suppose, the eldest being eighth grade. That's all it was, up to 8th grade. The school stayed, but the families all had to leave, you see. Well, Grandad closed the mill when the fire came. This is by 1939. I'm 12, and he shifted to Melbourne, took all of his family except Dad and Uncle Chas, who was on the farm. Wyelangta was finished then. Shirley and I used Dad's car for the honeymoon, and we went for our honeymoon in September 1951. I took the agency over from Dad. Dad, being in business, he left me on the farm. I was the dairy man and spud man, growing spuds, not selling them. But when Dad died, a young man in 1962, I took over the agency business. And that's when I got to know that type of thing. And but up until 1962, old Corker and I, my brother, Dad set us up in a new dairy, and we started off with 58 cows, I think, and we just kept building up and buying more land. And the other farmers around us wanted to sell out, so we took the land, and Dad backed us until he died. I had 3 boys, and none of them wanted to come back and take the farm on because they went through school well, and they did well at school and university, etc. And then when I left Wyelangta and I went to Colac and I went to River to live, I couldn't believe how much difference it is. Oh, we were natural people. All we did was if Saturday night come, we had to have a dance. And if there's a football match on, we'd have the dance after the footy. If there was a concert on Friday night, we'd go to the concert. No, nothing. So it just come up every year. I'd say the Potato Festival at Lavers Hill, I ran that for 5 or 6 years, or might be more. I was the secretary of the Lavers Hills Hall Committee. We were making money for the hall and just to keep it, maintain it. Same with the Catholic balls, the same with the football premierships, all those things. And we didn't, luckily we had the band, not Dad, not Brown's band, but my Uncle Chas and my niece used to play the piano. Even if we didn't dance, we'd be playing cards. We'd have a card tournament somewhere. Yeah. No, we were very sociable area. That was very popular. Churches were very popular. Never went myself. My grandfather didn't go to church. My father didn't go, but my grandfather and father used to host the minister when he came to Wyelangta. He'd have his church in the hall at Wyelangta when we were kids. Oh yes, yeah. We had no cause to leave up there, and we just made all our own fun. We built our own tennis courts, and we built our own swimming pools, and went to dances. And Dad had a very good band, and luckily we started off with him, and he made our life so much easier. And it was just so sad to lose him. It was so early. Oh, he's a real man. Yeah. He died at 59. So I was only 37. Yeah, a bit hard. But the fact that, he was the Otways. Everyone knew Dad. Yeah, well, I think he taught Corker to be an entertainer, because Corker was very popular in the Otway area, and he did very well. And my sister wasn't bad as an entertainer either. But Brown's band was very popular. See, there was Dad and three brothers and Gilbert, and brother-in-law. They were a very popular band, and everyone knew them. So, and Dad was also the barber, and he was the SP bookmaker. He was everything, you know, and postmaster, you know. And then he knew Australians had come in, Italians, many. They'd always come to Derby Brown just to learn how to do things, and, which was pleasing to us. Yeah. But he was a businessman. He tried his hand out at farming, but he couldn't do it. I'll say it now. Dad's era, they were cousins, marrying into cousins and things, second cousins and things. But it didn't happen much in my period. And I was lucky to marry a school teacher. I grabbed her when she come here. The main story about the Beechy was my wife when she first came to Beech Forest as a school teacher. She caught the Beech Forest train. But she found the Beech Forest train and she come up on that. That's about the only time she ever rode on it. That was in 1940. The last day the Beechy finished, it used to run past our place on the farm at Wyelangta. So I brought my wife and three boys then. They were 5, 6 and 7. Brought them in, put them on the train to bring them home for the last ride. I didn't come on it, but Shirley did, my wife. Well, I started football when I come back from high school. Just after the war, I was 18 then, and we had our own competitions in the Otways. There was 4 teams. There was Beech Forest, Johanna, Lavis Hill and Gelbrand, and we had quite a competitive competition going. And Beech Forest was the best team because it was more people there. See, population was bigger there, and they used to have quite a good team. And sometimes we would play. If we were short of players, we didn't muck around with. If they wanted a Lavis Hill player to fill in a man, they'd just ring up and ask, will you play with us today? And things like that. But we had that competition going for 10 and 12 years before the Otway Rovers was formed. The Beech Forest football ground was just a terrible, terrible ground. And so was Gelbrand, and so was Johanna, and so was Lavis Hill. But we knew what it was like, you see, and it was, we had no such thing as dressing rooms. And when the older we got, or the more sense we had, or whatever, we just tried to improve these things. And we got the backing of the Shire, etc., and they helped us level the Beech Forest ground and level the Gelbrand ground. And in times gone by, they've put up quite good changing rooms now. In fact, we may have had, I forget now, I think we may have had a cold shower at the end of my days. And I only played till I was 27, you see. And I broke my ankle and I couldn't play after that. Yeah. Yes, well, Cliff was a Beech Forest man, and through football and tennis and running, I got to know him quite well. And then, funnily enough, his sister married my uncle, and I think we got closer at that, and we got very close to the young family. And by that time, we had our cars, we were backwards and forwards to Beech Forest with no trouble at all. So we were only a few minutes apart, and he was a very, well, a very astute man, Cliffy. But as far as a man goes, he was he was a good athlete, not a good footballer, but he's a good athlete and a bloody good worker, and a very honest man. I wanted to buy a hotel, and funnily enough, I was told about the Rookery Nook, and I said, "What is the Rookery Nook?" They said, "It's a hotel at Wye River." I said, "Never heard of it." Been past it thousands of times, taking the family to surf along the coast, and looked up. I would look up at that hotel and would say to myself, "Who'd ever want to live here?" I felt like that's how I felt all the time until I went to live there, and I thought it was a magic place. And when I bought the pub, and I walked up out of the cellar at that pub the first or second day, this is mine. This is magic, this is. And I couldn't believe how lucky I was to buy it. And when Christmas, that was in August, and when Christmas came, luckily the previous owners had told me to fill the bedrooms up with grog, because people just come by the hundreds to Wye River. So I did, and it took all the money I had to pay. I had to pay in advance, fill the bedrooms up, the bungalows up with beer, and that was on the about the 23rd of December. I had to do all that. By the 3rd of January, I was out looking for beer. I was actually out of beer, and then eventually, when the two eldest boys got married and had to start to have their family, they said to me, "Dad, do you feel like selling the pub?" In fact, Paul's still got the freehold of it, and that's 30 years ago now. Well, I must say that my engagement party was the happiest, one of my happiest nights. And then my any football premierships we had quite a good roll-up and good. I played in a couple of three of those. SEC, when it came in 1962, when we had the power put on here, well, that was a big, exciting time for us, because we had our own power plants, but created our own electricity, but when the power came on, it made a big difference. In my day, we had such a happy and strong council here, and these council chambers were very popular, and the hall was marvellous as far as I was concerned. We'd often dance down there till 2 o'clock, come back up to the ridge and up and milk the cows at 5 o'clock. That was our life. Enjoyed it. Wish we could go back.